How y'all doing today? It's Preacher. So, yeah, man, it's rough out here. It's rough. Now you have some truckers that been on YouTube. You know, I know how to book freight. I'm that. Or they always posting their high rates per mile, right? Tim, I got this. You know, but then for a long time you don't hear nothing from them, right? Reason why I never do stuff like that, because when people say, I like to give you the good and the bad, do they really? Really? Do they really give you the good and the bad? Really? Because for every good rate per mile, they also take a bad rate per mile. They ain't gonna let you know that though. Why? They don't get views. You know, if I post that, okay, I got $3.55 per mile for my load, you're like, oh, okay, let me see how he did that. Ain't nothing special. You at the right place in the right time. You know, I mean, I like watching the truckers that educate you in the industry. That's what I like watching. I like watching the ones who, you know, when they showing you the load boards and they showing you what's going on in different areas, they help educate you, to teach you where to go to get good rates, where you can run, where you can get good rates per mile, right? Do I get some $3 a mile per load? Yes. Okay, I just came off of one. Went from Charlotte, North Carolina to Harrisburg, PA for $1,800, right? It was 409 miles. That's way over $3 a mile, right? Yeah, I can post that. Why not, right? But you don't get those loads all the time. Just the right place at the right time. That's all. Right place at the right time. Now, to get a load up out of PA, the average load was only paying like $1.30, $1.40 rate per mile. Okay, so why post that nice paying load and then turn around and don't say nothing about the other cheap load that I got, right? So that's how you can look at certain things. So what I did was, I took a load from Shippingsville, PA, down to Monroe, North Carolina. That load paid me $1.48 a mile. It went 400 miles, right? But my operating point is I have to get at least $1.44 a mile for me to pay my bills, make money, save money, right? That's my lowest price I can actually take. So I try not to take more than my lowest price. But it was only going 400 miles to get me out of that area. So if I have to take a cheaper rate load, I'm not trying to take that load that's something that's gonna keep me for 2 whole days with the load, right? I'm not doing that. It was a straight through load and it got me to Monroe, where I am right now. Now I picked up another load from Monroe, 10 miles away, that takes me back home down to Florida. So I have 630 miles that I'm going, and that 630 mile load is paying me $1,600. So things average out. I always used to say in my videos, I take the average, because every load is not going to be a good load, but I take the average. So at the end of the week, how many miles did you run, and what was your average rate per mile that you ran, right? So sometimes you do have to take a cheaper load to get you over to where a load is that is paying some money. That's just how it works. That's just the real deal. All right, that's the real deal. When I got inside this trucking game, the people who I was listening to was real people. And because I'm from a business background and running restaurants and used to doing all different types of budgets and keeping up with my budgets on a weekly basis and trying to meet the budgets by the end of the month so I could stay profitable, I understood what they were saying, keeping your overhead and your costs low. All right. So in the restaurant industry, we understood that our Mondays and Tuesdays, we wasn't going to make our labor costs because we didn't have enough sales to cover the cost of the labor. So our labor cost was going to be high on those days. But now on Wednesdays and Thursdays, it picks up. Now by Friday, we have a lot of sales, so our labor is tremendously low. So by Friday, from Monday all the way up to Friday now, what happens is our labor is back in line to where it needs to be at. So then Saturday, our other good load was going to even lower our labor a lot further down because we had more sales. So we understood that we're not going to knock it out of the park every single day, but at least by the end of the week, our total gross sales versus the amount of money that we spent, gave us our labor costs, and we was able to also make our food costs. You have to take your total sales, and you have to expect that every load is not going to be a good load. And sitting in your truck waiting on a good load, that's crazy, because some money is better than no money. Now, as long as you're able to make your costs. Now, not saying that you have to run for your costs all the time, but as long as I can make my cost, and I'm not going to be stuck with this load for multiple days. If it's just a one-day load, a straight through, or I deliver like early in the morning and I'm picking up super close away where it's not that much deadhead, I'm fine with that because I made my cost. It's enough for me to pay my bills and for me to have some extra money left over afterwards, because I understand that every load is not going to be that knockout load. It's not. And the more you be truthful with yourself when you get out here in this game and you're running your business, the better off you're going to be. And not out here listening to a lot of people that's giving you a bunch of fairy tales and only showing you good stuff. Because it's not a fairy tale. This is not a game when you're out here. Okay, people's lives depend on it. So you wonder why people are still making it through and how they're getting through and how they're making it. Well, look at the people who's making it. It's easy when you see all this other kind of stuff and they tell you all this kind of stuff when everything is good. And you're like, yeah. When stuff is good, yeah. All right. But even in the restaurant industry, like I said, I did that for 19 years, man. And so even when they bought a whole bunch of meats and stuff, they did it in futures. When I had price points, when I had to order my fish, I had a weekly fish cost that all these different fish markets would give me, and this is going to be the price of the fishes that I use for the whole week. And now you locked into that certain price. So you learn how to budget off of what the market is, because the market fluctuates. It goes up and down, right? So sometimes you got to know where the markets are paying in. And that's the area where I go and I run. And I would run that area for the week. Because if in this particular area, if the market is good and it's got a great average, I'm going to go where it's averaging good. I'm not finna go to a particular area and try to stay in the area because one load paid me real good, but the rest of the loads is garbage, right? But I'd rather go to a consistent area, consistent zone. So every load that I run is between 400 and say 650 miles. They are day runs. And as long as I can get $1,500 a day running those, if I can get $1,500 a day and stay under 650 miles, I'm doing pretty good. And I do my day runs. So now by the time Friday hit, I'm already at about $5,000 for the week. So now I can get myself a nice weekend run that's going to take me through the weekend. All right. And now I can look for those runs to pay me anywhere between 25 and 35. So now I'm consistently making a good average rate. So that's what I try to look to do. And sometimes to get to that market, you have to take that load that's not paying good. Y'all know I'm from Florida. Y'all know the Florida market don't pay good, right? So if the Florida market don't pay good, but that's how my business model was modeled after, because I stay in Florida. So I knew that in Florida, all right, the rates getting out of Florida was not going to pay that much. And you know, I already knew that. So I had that to worry about. Hold on for a second.
I'm gonna pull door 3 for you.
Okay. Lady telling me that she gonna pull door 3 for me, so I can get loaded. So that's the best way to go. Some of y'all getting out here like, how am I going to make it? What am I going to do? I have about 7 load boards that I utilize. All right, truck stop, and I have that. And then I have the regular ones, the C.H. Robinson load board. You know, I have Coyote load board, J.B. Hunt load board. So, you know, you have these regular load boards. And yes, you have the click and go load boards. You got to keep all your options open. Okay, the load that I'm on right now is a C.H. Robinson load. That's how it works. You know, and when you're getting paid $1,600 to go 630 miles, that's still a pretty decent rate. So you can't sleep on some of these bigger brokerage. Be in the right place at the right time. That's what I always like to say. Be at the right place at the right time. All right. I wanted to stay out for like 2 weeks, but you know, I've been dealing with some stuff from my accident that I had, a little issues. So between going back home for physical therapy and going back home to see the doctors and stuff like that for treatment and stuff, you know, sometimes I got to go out and I got to come back. Sometimes I'm able to go out for a week, you know, a week and a half, then I have to come back because I got physical therapy and I'm just trying to do physical therapy. You know, so y'all out here, is there some money out here? Yes, there are some money out here. There is some money out here. You just got to be smart with it. You know, change your criteria, change what you plan on doing. You know, and then you're able to make it out here. Not to say that every load is going to be a good load. Okay, every load is not going to be a good load, but that other load, long as it's decent and it can get you to your next load, you should be okay. Yeah, it was $1.48 to come down here, right? But then my next load is paying me way over $2 a mile. So that's how I look at certain stuff. I look at it and I try to strategize to make sure stuff is right. Now, I do have another load coming out of Florida. And I've been lucky to get loads out of Florida for about $1.80, $1.85 a mile coming out of Florida. Again, right place, right time. All right. Now, is it a true $1.80? No, it's not, because I got the deadhead about 160 miles. So by the time you put that 160 miles on top of how many miles that you actually going, it goes down to about $1.62, somewhere around that there in total miles. Okay, how I do my trips is I do total miles. That's how I do my trips, in total miles, from the time I start to the time I stop. Total miles, and I'm able to make it. So when you look at certain stuff, yeah, you're able to make it and things like that. So you have those particular issues and stuff. I just think it's funny, you know. I keep seeing and people coming out the woodwork, well, I got a load for this. Well, that's good. I'm glad. Are you getting that all the time? Or was your one unicorn load? You're not seeing those loads all the time. They're not out here. Okay, base your stuff off of realistic numbers. All right. If you going on these load boards, everybody who booked their own loads and they going on these load boards, you can't fool them. But you can fool the people who are not on load boards that are looking for things. Because when y'all not on these load boards and y'all not looking and y'all don't drive in different areas, you don't know what the market is. So you just going off of what somebody's saying and making it seem like that it's loads out here paying that all the time. It's not. It's not like that whatsoever. All right. Before I got inside this game, I was on load boards. Before I even decided to get a truck, I was on load boards, and I was practicing. That's what I used to do. I used to practice. Used to be being in bed at night. I'm like, okay, if I pick up a load from here and I take it here, how much is that lane paying? And I used to see all those particular stuff, so I'm able to find, what particular lane works for me, what particular lanes that I'm trying to run, what particular lanes that I like to run. And so that's why I know when I stay out, I always make over $7,500. I average between 72 and 78. I didn't have weeks I didn't get done way over 8. I done like 85, 88, done 9,000. But I have to stay out. Then I have to go in those areas that I do not want to go to make that kind of money. I have to change my criteria. But when I need money, I go where I don't want to go. Yeah, that's why I ended up in California. Then I go to California, dude wound up hitting my mirror all on the side, tearing my mirror up and everything. So I have to go to certain places I don't want to go to get the kind of money that I want to get. I take loads from Georgia, going out to Arizona, paying like $5,000. I don't like going out there to Arizona, especially like the Phoenix and things. But if I go to those particular areas, you better believe me, I have a load coming back from that area too. So I'm just not going to go to a area that is known for not having those good loads. I'm not just finna go to those areas and then not have a load coming out of that particular area. So if I'm going to go to an area, I already know I have a load coming out of that particular area. It's going to take me to a better area. And like I said, sometimes you got to do those straight through loads or those day runs. So if I take a lower rate, it's just for one day to get me to another area that's going to actually pay me that particular type of money. I didn't want to drive in snow. I really didn't want to drive in snow. But you know what? That load was paying me really good money to go up there to Colorado and stuff. Paid me real good money. And that week I made over $9,000 that week. Stuck in snow the whole 9 yards. That's why I didn't like to go snow. Then you got to deal with other people who driving crazy in snow. But I needed some money. So that particular week, I took a load out there so I can get the money. And that's what I try to do. So y'all just remember, when you're out here, do your research. Okay? Do your research and make the best decision.